Here and rejoining us via Skype, James Hirsen, fittingly on the left coast because, after all, he is the author of the Left Coast Report. James, thanks so much for staying with us. Now, another Bond movie in the works, some controversy surrounding it. The Daily Beast uncovered an interesting email in that whole Sony hack job. The Sony Pictures chair reportedly writing a fellow studio executive that Idris Elba should be the next Bond, but Rush Limbaugh says, wait a minute, no, Bond is a Scotsman, and if you cast Elba as James Bond, it'd be like having George Clooney play Barack Obama. Your take on this thing?
Well, it's interesting. Elba has responded on the social media, and he says, Bond is supposed to be handsome, so I've got a shot. So that's his response. But look, the way I see it, there is a tradition in the James Bond, going back to Ian Fleming's books and all the films, of all the character attributes of James Bond. But I've got a solution for the writers, and I think this is what they should do if they want to have an African-American James Bond or a black James Bond. What they should do is have the British come up with some new DNA alteration technology, and it becomes necessary with the plot to disguise the Scottish James Bond as a black James Bond. Well, and then his character still says shaken, not stirred, has all of the attributes of James Bond, but it could be played by Elba. So I think that's the way they do it. They maintain the tradition. This is, a town and an industry of imagination. I think they can pull it off, do both.
James, moving along, there are several movies that people are highly anticipating to see this year. If I can speak, I'm so excited because I'm thinking about Star Wars right now. How successful do you think it's going to be?
Well, there's a pent-up demand for Star Wars. By the way, when you talk about the upcoming films, Hollywood's an anxiety-ridden town, the business side of it. Right. And if you look at the top 10 list from 2014, 6 out of 10 of the top 10 films are sequels. So Star Wars, of course, is a sequel. It will be episode 7. It'll be the first with J.J. Abrams. There's going to be a tremendous buzz because it spans generations. It's a legendary franchise. And I think it will do very well, but it'll be up against a whole host of other sequels. We're going to have tons of sequels and Avengers sequels. Mad Max is coming back.
What about Terminator?
A Terminator sequel. Hunger Games, the second half. It just goes, a Jurassic Park sequel. I mean, it just goes on and on. So it's going to have tough competition from all of those quarters.
What does this say, though, about the movie industry? Are we just running out of original ideas?
Well, the original ideas generally do not come from the big studios, and the big studios are risk adverse because they have to invest so much money in these films, $100 to $200 million per film. And so in order to reduce the risk, they look back at last year and they say, and prior years, and they say, look, if we have a franchise, let's milk it. And that's why, for example, The Hunger Games, the last sequel in The Hunger Games, it was one of the top 10 in 2014, they divided it in half, much like they did with the Twilight franchise. So they're looking to milk these franchises. So the Avengers, the Age of Ultron is one of those examples.
Well, so this is going to be like sequels, sound almost like the old days of the Saturday theatrical serials they used to have. You know, break them up, slice them, dice them, and rerun them. James Hirsen, we always appreciate your original insights. Thanks for that Left Coast report. There's more ahead here on America's Forum. Stay with us.